Last week I talked about record labels and their salad days. Today, again record labels, but this time the darker days. With Napster entering the market in 1999 and iTunes in 2001, a big struggle began between the two. And regardless of how that battle would turn out, the old industry was collapsing as the old physical distribution services were losing the battle online downloading. When the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, or IFPI, reported that 95% of digital music was being downloaded illegally in 2008, it made big news headlines. It also caused hand-wringing within the industry, since at that time both labels and artists were struggling mightily. Looking back at that 95% figure, it was high, but it was partly true. I checked the percentage of USA recorded music industry revenue in 2008, and the RIAA, or the Recording Industry Association of America, shows industry revenue that year plummeted to $12.5 billion. Remember, it was at 20. I think it was 2021. But the majority of revenue, 68%, was from CDs. And that's really quite a stretch, since by then people were streaming quite a lot of music. And the RIAA say that downloads of any type were only in the 10% area. So that 95% figure is definitely high, but I think it's safe to say that illegal downloads in 2008 were still common practice. Napster had started in 1999, so that's like almost 10 years later. That last stat also means that at the time more people were willing to pay for their music. In addition, there had been an explosion of online services going on. New digital platforms were taking shape. MySpace 2003, Facebook 2004, YouTube 2005, and then SoundCloud. They all started up. In those early days, social media didn't really have the tools to implement marketing campaigns. So while revenues were plummeting for everyone, also new ways to promote artists began to emerge. Between 2010 and 15, the market was still at an all-time low. Recording industry revenues fell below $10 billion in 2010, basically down to half. And it resided there for 5 years, using today's dollars. On the bright side, though, the market finally defined its answer to digital piracy. Spotify launched in 2011 in USA. From 2010 to 15, streaming grew, but by today's standards, it was still pretty small. For example, in 2014, Spotify had only reached a tenth of its current subscriber base. And by 2010, most labels already had some sort of a digital department influenced by online media, tour marketing, and release campaigns. They began to look more like the way they are now. The first signs of the direct artist/fan interactions started to appear around then, and several major artists started their careers by relying on that approach. By 2015, the industry was adapting to the interweave of digital and physical worlds and the direct artist-fan interactions. Artists now streamed live shows on their socials and announced albums with just a little tweet. Marketing strategies that were traditionally carried out by labels became the turf of publishers, managers, artists themselves, and agents. And as an indie myself, I can say that the access to marketing tools is phenomenal. I mean, it's unbelievable. It used to be that the only way you would get marketed is to be signed by a label, as we talked about last week. So today there are more ways to promote music than ever before, and artists have a direct access to promotional channels. So do labels, so do the managers. Everybody's got that same access. The endless hustle of the song economy has forced the labels into pursuing short-term marketing tactics aimed at creating hits, pulling them away from their true core strength, long-term artist brand building. That's what they were so good at. Think about Sinatra, Elvis, even the Beatles. Labels in those days spent a lot of time and money building a particular artist's brand, their name, their music, their sound. Now they're kind of chasing the latest hit. And here's today's Song of the Week. Do you follow sports? More specifically, do you follow a particular sports team? It's great to follow them when they're winning, right? Not so much when they're losing, though. Hope you enjoy Full Silly. I was never one to follow sports of any kind. Always too busy, just never found the time. But when the local baseball team fought and won it all, my friends were standing 8 foot tall. They came to work all happy, went full silly at the bar, glorious in blue, those jerseys that they wore. Business suits were gone, flags were flying from their cars. I wanna be full silly too. The new season came, I was ready for the ride. Bought myself that jersey, to all my friends' surprise. There we were in double blue, seemed a million strong, cheering our boys of summer on. A few weeks in, the team was 0-10. The champs would get to winning, didn't know just when. Half the jerseys disappeared, but faithful I would be, get them on a winning streak. Losing kept on coming, more jerseys were retired. Pretty soon no one wore that ugly blue attire. So on to Craigslist minded go, the ending of my tale. Jersey hardly worn, now for sale. They came to work all happy, went full silly at the bar, glorious in blue, those jerseys that they wore. Business suits were gone, flags were flying from their cars. I wanna be full silly too.
So after last week on the musical life of Freddie Spaghetti, we know he's been very busy with his music. What's he up to today?
It's a Tuesday in mid-April. Everything about the morning seems unexceptional. Freddie's walk to work was normal. When he walks into the warehouse and punches in, he hears the sounds of a warehouse coming to life. Today's just like every other day. His work partner, Joe, greets him, "Hey, Spaghetti!" in his usual gruff tone, and Freddie replies in kind. The boxes to be moved today don't seem overly high or low, just about average. Freddie hops into the forklift and heads for the first stack of boxes. He fiddles with the fork lever and picks up a pallet. "Good to go," Joe yells. Freddie swivels the machine and drives down a hallway near shipping and places that payload down at a bin marked Tuesday. He then swivels the small machine around and drives back to where another pallet was waiting. The routine repeats itself over and over all morning, as it does every other day. It's break time, and Freddie heads over to a small area with snack machines. He stops at a big red one that says Coca-Cola. He puts in his card, punches a button that says Diet Coke, 0 calories. A can tumbles down. As the noise from the tumbling soft drink stops after a final clunk, Freddie grabs it and hears another sound. This one's an electronic one. It's a buzzing sound like a zzz, zzz, and it's accompanied by a tickling in his pocket. It's his phone. With his Diet Coke in one hand and the cell phone in the other, he flicks the screen on. New messages. A new screen opens up. Whoa, Freddie thinks. Who is sending me 32 messages? Spam? Jenks, is that you playing a joke? Freddie just stands there, dumbfounded, and staring at the little phone screen. He slowly thumbs through the message titles, and every single one is about Talking Man. These are not spam. And it's not from Jenks. One stands out, a message from a person named Rob Delroy at Delta Records.
On behalf of Paul and Ryan Tunes, thank you for listening to this week's Sound Threads. Please check us out next week for another round of Sound Threads.